Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, it's kind of a cold, rainy, windy day here in Waco, so it sounds like a good day to maybe do another cooking vlog. I've been trying to reduce the inventory of food that I have in the fridge for a while, and I think I have reduced it a little bit, and I'm ready to try making something else. I've kind of had a beef stew in mind for a while now. I think it was also kind of triggered a little bit by the fact that we talked about it on the live stream last week, but I think I'm going to try it today. You may recall that when I got the Instant Pot, I also bought a couple of recipe books that specialize just in Instant Pot recipes. Now, two of those books actually have two different beef stew recipes, and I'm going to kind of just merge the two of them together into one recipe that I think is going to be really good. Neither of them are really the perfect recipe for me. One of them, the one that we're going to go with primarily, includes sweet potatoes, and I'm not really a huge fan of sweet potatoes, so I'm just going to omit that. But the other one includes some mushrooms, and I like mushrooms, and the mushrooms aren't in the first one, but I kind of rejected the second recipe because it had a bunch of like odd ingredients that are things that I've never needed before, and I don't really want to buy them now, knowing that I'll probably never ever need them again. One of the ingredients is that it requires a dry red wine, and I'm not a wine drinker to begin with, and I'm not willing to buy a whole bottle of red wine just so I can have 2 tablespoons of it for a recipe. I don't really like wasting food, and I really don't even like wasting the ingredients of food. So when I make something, I try and make things that have ingredients that I'm going to use over and over again. I will buy an ingredient if I don't have it, but it's got to be something that I know that at some point I'm going to use, because I don't want to just buy, like I said, a big bottle of red wine and then have it go to waste. That bugs me a little bit. So, like I said, I'm going to merge these 2 recipes together and turn it into one recipe, and let's see how it turns out. I think this is going to be a good one. It's definitely a good day for a beef stew. So let's get going on that. All right, so here are the ingredients that we need for our beef stew. First off, the base is going to be a beef broth. We're going to need some flour, some onion powder, some tomato paste, 4 potatoes, some mushrooms, 4 garlic cloves, a medium-sized onion, some balsamic vinegar, some Worcestershire sauce, a little organic Italian seasoning, carrots, celery, olive oil, sea salt, pepper, stew beef, and 1 bay leaf, and of course the star of our show, the Instant Pot. Now we're going to use several of the different functions of the Instant Pot this time. It's not just going to be the pressure cooker. We're also going to use it in its saute mode, because we're going to cook the meat and we're going to saute some of the vegetables in the Instant Pot before we produce everything else. So this ought to be interesting. Now, one of the things they recommend you do when you buy your Instant Pot is that you check the gasket every time. They actually say remove it and make sure there aren't any nicks or scratches or anything in it, just to, because you got to have a good seal. Eventually these things wear out, and so they recommend you kind of keep tabs on them. You'll also notice that when you bought your Instant Pot that it actually came with 2 seals. 2 gaskets, and they do that for a reason. Apparently the gasket tends to absorb the flavor of some of the foods, so they recommend you use one for like savory things like stew, or what we're doing now, or macaroni and cheese, or our chili, or any of the other things we've done, and another one for like sweet desserts and stuff like that, because they say you don't want to have your dessert tasting like chili. So that's a good advice. So I've got the white gasket seal, and I've got the red one, and the red one I'm going to use for like desserts and things like that. But I've checked the seal, put it back in there. It's nice and smooth. There's no nicks, no cuts, no stretching, none of that. So this thing's good to go. I also bought a couple of accessories. I bought a steamer tray for this thing, which I don't need for this thing, and then this tray thing came with it. So I'm just going to get those out of the way for now. Now, just to speed things up a little bit during the preparation process, I'm actually going to prepare some of the ingredients ahead of time. I'm going to peel and slice up the carrots, the celery, the potatoes. The potatoes need to be peeled and then cut into about 1-inch chunks. I already bought the meat pre-sliced. They basically say cut that up into about 1-inch chunks or 1.5-inch chunks. So I got that pre-sliced. I'm going to slice my mushrooms. I'm not going to really show you that, but you know what that all looks like. So next scene, you'll just see all this stuff sliced up and ready to go. All right, so I've prepared my fresh ingredients. Basically, that's 4 potatoes cut up into about 1-inch chunks. I sliced up my carrot. Actually, the recipe called for 3 small or medium-sized carrots. I couldn't find 3 medium-sized carrots. They came in packages of 20, and as I mentioned before, I don't like wasting food if I can avoid it, so I just bought 1 large carrot and sliced it up, and then a couple stalks of celery have been sliced up. So that's just ready to go in when we're ready for that stage of it. I also got my onion, quartered it as required, and I minced up 4 cloves of garlic. So when we're ready to that, that's ready to go in. Next, we mix up 1/3 a cup of flour, half a teaspoon each of black pepper and onion powder, and a teaspoon each of Italian seasoning and sea salt. And basically, you're just supposed to mix that up just in a small pan. Since all my small pans are going to be used for storing the final product here, I'm just using a cooking pot to mix this up. Basically, this is just going to kind of be a something that we're going to put the meat on, so that when we're ready to saute it, it will have a little bit of flavor to it. Now, before I prepare the meat, I'm actually going to pour a couple of tablespoons of olive oil into my Instant Pot. And we're going to set this thing up for saute mode because we're actually going to cook the meat in here. Had just a little bit of olive oil left, so we're just going to use the rest of it. And then on the front, there is a saute mode. And we'll let that heat up while we're preparing the meat. Alright, we're going to start mixing our meat in. I'm just going to do them one at a time here. And we're just going to kind of coat everything really well, get a nice coating on the meat. And then we are going to insert it into the pan here, and we're going to brown it. And we'll put the rest in. See if we can avoid getting it on the counter this time. That's better. And then we're going to throw that into the pan. And basically I'm just going to kind of move this around in here until it's nice and brown on all sides. Alright, so that took about 3 or 4 minutes. Now we're just going to take the meat out and we're going to put it on this plate and just set it aside for now. Alright, next we're going to throw in our onion and our garlic, and we're going to saute that for about 2 minutes. After a couple of minutes, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and our tomato paste, and we're just going to kind of mix it up real nice. And then we kind of scrape the bottom just to get some of the brown bits off. We want to leave that in there. And then we're going to cancel to turn off the saute. Next, we're going to return the meat back to the pot. Alright, next we're going to put in all our fresh veggies. 5 cups of beef broth and 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Needed 2 mixing cups to hold all of that. And we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning and 1 bay leaf. And basically we're just going to mix this up really well. I also put my mushrooms in there ahead of time also, at the same time the veggies went in. Alright, I think that's about ready to go. Alright, next thing we are going to do is we're going to put our lid on, close it up, make sure it's in vent mode. Then we're going to go into the pressure cook mode. High pressure, so we already got that set. And we're going to set it for 25 minutes. If I wanted to adjust the pressure, you'd hit that button there. Alright, now we are in process here. Now, in an unrelated issue, you may recall about a week ago I mentioned I did an interesting interview with a company that did everything online, and basically they wanted me to get onto a computer or onto a cell phone or a tablet with a camera and a microphone, and they would ask me questions and they wanted me to record responses. Well, I just got a response from them. They want to bring me in for a real interview. So sometime in the next 48 hours I need to log on to their website and choose a interview date. So yeah, keep my fingers crossed here. Now it's kind of interesting. I'm having to actually run this kind of manually this time, and I'm not sure why, because it didn't begin doing what it should do the way it should do it. Normally what happens is when you start the cooking process, it begins heating up the contents inside until this little red button pops up. And what that represents is that there's starting to be pressure in there. You've built up the pressure to the point where now it pushes the red button up, and then the cooking is supposed to start. For some reason, this time, the cooking started about 3 minutes after I pushed the button, and it was another 20, 25, 30 minutes before that little button popped up. So Once that happened, I gave it a couple minutes to actually hit actual full pressure, and then I manually restarted the clock. So I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to research this a little bit, but I don't think it's going to affect the cooking at all. Okay, timer just hit 0. Now the instructions say to allow the pressure to naturally release for 10 minutes, and then we're going to manually release the rest of the pressure. So I'll wait until that timer hits 10 minutes, and then we'll release the pressure. All right, we have been officially off now for 11 minutes, so let's manually vent the pressure. You do that just by pressing this little button here. And then we open it up. Oh yeah, that looks like a chili. Looks very good. Yeah, that looks, if that tastes half as good as it looks, we're in for a treat. Now, one thing I know about this is you want to let this cool off for a long time before you try and eat it, because this thing will incinerate the roof of your mouth if you don't. And there's the bay leaf. Let's get that out of there. Alright, it's been another about 30 minutes now since I vented this. This has had a lot of time to cool off. And it has thickened up a little bit too, which is kind of good. You kind of want to do that with a stew. So let's give this thing a little bit of a taste test here. Grab a nice little chunk of meat here. Really good. It's not too hot now. It's just about right. So I think I'm going to definitely put this in a dish and eat this for dinner tonight. But yeah, this turned out really good. Like I said, I still got to figure out what exactly happened with the Instant Pot, why it didn't go automatic like it was supposed to. But other than that, yeah, it's a real good stew. It's got good flavor to it. It's not overly salty or overly whatever. The potatoes, the carrots, all of that are a good choice in there. Haven't hit any of the mushrooms yet, but definitely give that a try too. I'm looking forward to this. So anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll try this recipe yourself. I will post it in the description below. And I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.